you write for Freightwaves and Modern Shipper. What are the personas? Who are you writing for? Tell us a bit about who you have in your mind when you're writing your pieces.
Sure. The people that Freightwaves typically reaches are, people in the trucking space, supply chain operators, C-suite executives. But, I kind of center my work on the modern shipper brand, which is more focused on the last mile, warehousing and distribution, fulfillment, and things like that. So I think that my work sort of reaches a little bit more of a broad audience. We reach a lot of delivery drivers, gig workers, folks who work in warehouses or in retail spaces. So those are kind of the folks that we are talking to a lot, and there's a lot of problems that are facing the space that I'd love to get into.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into it. What are some of those problems that are being dealt with? And I kind of see it in two halves. There's the warehouse, and then there's the shipping from the warehouse. I don't know where you want to start, but either would be fine from my perspective.
Let's go ahead and start with the in the warehouse. So I think one of the big things that we're seeing there is just this complete lack of capacity. There's been sort of this flurry of activity where you've got these big private real estate investors buying up industrial real estate properties like warehouses, fulfillment centers, and things like that. And the market is just becoming flooded with these companies, and so it's becoming harder and harder for smaller brands to sort of expand their warehouse network and add new facilities. But at the same time, operators are also struggling to make use of the space that they already have, because you've got this rise of e-commerce orders that is pushing demand through the roof. It's making throughput higher than it's ever been before. So a lot of warehouse operators are stuck with the same amount of space, but maybe 1.5 times, 2 times as much product that they have to move through it. So finding creative ways to make use of that space is definitely one of the big ones.
And who is running the warehouses? Is it like third parties who run warehousing as a service, or how does that work?
It can depend on the actual warehouse. I believe that some facilities will have other companies come in and sort of operate things, but
Mhm.
a lot of the times it's people who work within that particular company that are operating.
Okay. So there's a major capacity crunch, demand's going up, supply is limited. How are these companies dealing with those pressures?
Yeah, they've had to get real creative. One of the things that we're seeing a lot is sort of this shift towards verticality in the warehouse. You can't always build out, so sometimes you have to build up. And a lot of the space that's unused in warehouses is between the shelves and the ceiling. So you're seeing a lot more people sort of rearrange their inventory to be able to hold more in the warehouse. You're also seeing um, or operators try to speed their inventory through the warehouse more, so that less space is required to keep that. You saw for a while this trend of just-in-time inventory,
Hmm.
where a brand will try to have their suppliers send them products around the time when the consumer actually wants it. There's been sort of a departure from that with the supply chain disruptions that we've seen, just because it's less reliable to be able to have a product shipped on command. Um, so we're starting to see operators come up with different ways to speed throughput, and a lot of that is through automation and new technologies.
And so you're building up. That sounds a little challenging as stuff gets higher to the ceiling. How do you get to it? What are the technologies that people are using to solve that problem?
Yeah, how do you get to it, and how do you keep track of it? Those are two really important things. So the getting to it part, you do see a fair amount of operators using robots that are kind of shuttling up and down shelves vertically to pick and return objects. Um, you also see the use of overhead scanners and things like that more often. A lot of times, operators will tag their products with an RFID tag or something like that, and they'll have
Hmm.
an overhead scanner that allows them to get sort of a wider picture of where their inventory is spaced. So they can keep track of things that are both on the floor and in the air as well.
So in the past, maybe they just scanned things when they were putting them away or they entered into the warehouse. Now they just want a continuous view, a real-time location system. Is that right?
Right.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Mr. Beacon podcast here on YouTube. You can listen to the rest of this episode on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed it, please like and share this video, and be sure to subscribe for more weekly videos. For more information about Wiliot and IoT Pixels, head on over to wiliot.com.